Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Who are you? You don't know? Who are you?
And we all make so many jokes at the expense of the beleaguered Neanderthal man. Tonight, there is new science that should give them some respect. Here's John Berman.
The Neanderthal, that beastly evolutionary outcast, thought to be extinct for 30,000 years. But scientists believe they've picked up the trail of that hairy historic reject in the most surprising of places.
In us, many of us anyway, there is new evidence that humans inherited up to 4% of our DNA from Neanderthals.
The study in the journal Science is based on painstaking research into 3 Neanderthal bone fragments. Scientists reconstructed the Neanderthal genetic code and compared it to modern humans from across the globe and found there was up to a 4% match with humans everywhere but from Africa. The theory is and found there was up to a 4% match with humans everywhere but from Africa. The theory is that our human ancestors migrating out of Africa some 70,000 years ago had some amorous encounters with Neanderthals somewhere in the Middle East.
We mean that they interbred or they had sex.
This is the first real evidence Neanderthals and humans had kids, which means, despite the old assumption that Neanderthals disappeared from the evolutionary chart,
Neanderthals aren't quite extinct. They all live on a little bit in many of us.
So next time you spill beer at the game, you really are a little bit of a Neanderthal. John Berman, ABC News, New York.
Who are you? You don't know?
Click here to read full story. Now we click on the article. And this is the article starts like this. You remember now, these folks have to put on a good face of what their own science is telling them. Because you see, these folks, they want to know exactly who they are. And so I think the Father, he's put it in their heart to report things even when it's not sympathetic to them, because that's not normally how they do. But this is what it says. The title of the report is from the neuroanthropology study, and also this is also reported in Reuters News and also in today's Washington Post. And it could be in New York Times as well, but I have not checked that one out. But just those resources I've seen. But I like how they put it better, so I've used this article here. It says, the Neanderthal Romeo and the human Juliet hypothesis. The reason why they put it as a hypothesis because last week scientists are having trouble. And I'll read the article after I go past this chart, and this is what the article says. It says, and once again, the article is written by Paul Mason, and this is the neuroanthropology newspaper blog. Okay, and this is what it says: scientists have had trouble reconciling data from analysis of human mitochondrial DNA in the male Y chromosome. They're having problems reconciling the data from what? From the human Y chromosome. You may say, well, why are they having problems reconciling it? As it goes on, it says, analysis of human mitochondrial DNA indicate that we all share a common female ancestor 170,000 years ago, right? Analysis of the Y chromosome indicate that we share a common male ancestor 59,000 years ago. The article goes on and says that this male ancestor is not human, but Neanderthal. And let me just read what the chart says here. That's done by this study. It says analysis of the Y chromosome indicate that our common male ancestor is much younger than our common female ancestor. Well, that will let you know that, wait a minute, no, we know that Yapis people were around here much longer, and because they come from the garden, they are we could trace them right back to Adam and Eve, right? But they can only trace their male offspring to 60,000 years ago. Now it says, this suggests that the offspring of a male living some 59,000 years ago, listen and check this out, again, this suggests that the offspring of a male living some 59,000 years ago, possibly from outside the human gene pool, ended up dominating the gene pool. Goes on and says, the mitochondrial DNA from Neanderthals has not been found in humans, plus our common female ancestors older than our common male ancestor. These morsels of data suggest that male humans and female Neanderthals possibly did not mate. Let me repeat that one more time. I'm going to have to do it more than once. It says, these morsels of data suggest that male humans and female Neanderthals possibly did not mate, were socially precluded from mating, were not able to mate, or were not able to reproduce. They have no proof whatsoever that it was a male human that went in that ever fathered any of the Neanderthals. And so this is why it says the Neanderthal that fathered the race of folks that we see down here on the earth today, as the report that was done by that was reported on ABC News, it clearly states that everyone except those from Africa have up to 4% of Neanderthal DNA in them. I believe it's higher, but I'm just reporting what they said. And so, once again, let's go back to the title of the article. It says what? The Neanderthal Romeo and the human Juliet. You see how they try to put the spin on it like it was a romance? Sorry, these boys kill me. But it's like a comedy hour, how they try to soften up. The Neanderthal Romeo and the human Juliet hypothesis, because their research cannot find that there was no human male, which means that no one from the garden gave this seed that we see today. And so so now let me go on, maybe, because I get too excited sometimes. Then it goes on and says, if male humans did mate with female Neanderthals, the fetus possibly may have died in the womb, or the Neanderthal mother was perhaps unable to give birth to the child, or the offspring simply may not have survived until puberty. See, brothers and sisters, they cannot find any proof that the humanity that they see in themselves today is from the woman. Okay? The humanity that they see within themselves is from the woman. So I know a lot of people, and I needed to know, because right now we could read to you the book of Enoch. It says that the fallen angels, that the sons of God saw the doors of women and came into them, right? This backs up the story of Enoch. This backs up the story of Genesis, the 6th chapter. This backs up the book of Jude. You see, I must go there. I'm not sure if y'all going to stay where you're at. And what I mean, in your mind, you better start understanding this is a spiritual thing. And I know a lot of so-called Negroes don't understand, and I get frustrated when I hear people talk in a braggadocious physical manner, where they put down the spiritual and just say, well, we got to handle this thing in the flesh. And I realize that I can't call no man a fool on earth. That's what Yahweh said. Don't call no man a fool. I can tell you, many people act like a fool. So acting and a fool is not the same, and so. But I had to get that off my chest, because this is what they're doing. See, and right now I post this information today. Tell me if you see this on CNN anytime soon, or MSNBC or NBC. See, this is not their responsibility to feed you who they are. They're giving you enough. I'm appreciative in a sad sort of way that because they love science so much, and that is their true religion. That they have to report this because it validates their intellectualism. It validates the fact that they're searching for who they are. They are not from the garden. They've never been from the garden. They're from the cave. And guess what? The only humanity they have is from the woman that came from us. That is consistent with Genesis, the 6th chapter.
We have to get to the bottom of this. This information is it's the most powerful information. If you want to know who you are, that gives you power. And this is the kind of...
However, there is something that could settle this debate of where the Chinese come from once and for all. I'm meeting Professor Jin Li, one of China's leading geneticists. Recently, he led a project that set out to prove that the Chinese evolved independently from everyone else, from Homo erectus, here in China.
Before the project started, I was hoping that I could identify or could be able to find the evidence that support independent origin of Chinese in China, because I'm a Chinese and came from China, and through the education process, I always believed that there's something special about Chinese.
He singled out a male genetic marker which only appeared about 80,000 years ago in Africa. So any man who carries that marker must have recent African ancestors and can't be descended from the more ancient Asian Homo erectus. Jin took DNA from over 160 ethnic groups around East Asia. Over 12,000 samples. And so, what did you find?
We did not see any, even one single individual that could be considered as the descendant of the Homo erectus in China. Rather, everybody was a descendant of our ancestors from Africa.
The result couldn't have been any clearer. How did that make you feel as a Chinese person?
After I saw the evidences that we generate in my laboratory, I think we should all be happy with that, because after all, modern humans from different part of the world are not so different from each other, and we are very close relatives.
It's great, thank you.
Everything you've ever told me was a lie.
Layla, that's not true.
I'm not human. What am I? Human. What am I?
Who are you? You don't know.